All right, we're going to continue on to our next section, and we're going to start with 4.13, which is kind of building on our previous topic, and we're going to simplify variable expressions. With division. And of course, we're going to be throwing those negatives in because that's kind of our theme of that section. We're going to be looking again at variable expressions. And a variable expression, for example, could look like this. 24x divided by 3 plus 18xy. Now, this is an example of a simplified one. It might seem a little bit weird for us, but we have one term here and one term here. So our first term and our second term. Now, we talked a lot during our multiplication about kind of squishing these things together. Now, we can't do that in this case because notice that not everything is being multiplied together. There is this huge plus sign in the middle, and this plus sign kind of makes a wall between these two terms. We can't add these two things together because they are not like terms. We could multiply them together, but that's not what this sign says right here, so we can't do that. So we're kind of set here. We have 24x over 3 plus 18xy. And I'm not sure what this is referring to exactly, but I know that this is simplified and there's nothing else that I could do. Well, I guess I could simplify my 24/3, but that part doesn't really matter so much. Let's take a look at what we're going to be talking about in this section. We're going to be building a quick expression, and I'm going to write out our little problem that we have here. We have Jake and 3 friends are building birdhouses. And every birdhouse they sell they earn 20 bucks. And the question is, how much money do they make does Jake make for the number of bird houses B? So in this case, we don't know exactly how many birdhouses he's making, but the idea is he's making B birdhouses. So I need to build an expression that would show how much just Jake earns. So I can see that their total cash that they're going to earn is 20 times B, right? Because each birdhouse is worth 20 bucks. But Jake doesn't get to keep all of that. How much of it does he get to keep? Well, he has himself and 3 friends, so that means there's 4 of them total. So that means I take the total money they earn and I divide it by 4. And I can simplify that a little bit to 20b over 4. And I could simplify it a little bit more even, and I could say that he earns 5b. So every birdhouse he builds, he personally gets to take home 5 bucks, which is pretty nice. I could build a lot of birdhouses for that, make some serious money. Let's take a look at some more of this variable expression and division, okay? Let's look at one like this. It says, for example, 1. Now, we remember that we need to remember all of those rules about dividing negatives and multiplying negatives like we were before. A negative times a negative is a positive. Positive times a positive is a positive. Negative times a positive is a negative. And a positive times a negative is a negative. Let's write that out really quick. We'll make it in a little chart over here. So a negative times a negative equals a positive. A positive times a positive equals a positive. Negative times positive equals negative. And positive times negative equals negative. And the key for this is division rules and multiplication rules are the same for this. So it's really handy and easy for us to remember. So we're going to simplify this. And our equation here is we have negative 18ab divided by 9b. All right, so let's take a look. Let's simplify this out. And I don't like using this division sign. I like to write it with a big line over it because it looks more like a fraction and it's much easier for me to understand what I'm doing. So I'm going to write negative 18ab over 9b. Okay, now there's definitely some things that I can start to see that I'm going to be able to cancel out, which is really nice. If I have negative 18 divided by 9, now remember this is all multiplied and all divided together, so my commutative and my associative rules allow me to move things around on the top, move things around on the bottom. Now I can't move things from the top to the bottom yet. There's some tricks I can do that for later, but we can't use them yet. I have negative 18 divided by 9. Well, I know that to be negative 2, so I can pull that off if I wanted to. And I could even write this as negative 18 ninths times AB over B, right? Because I can pull it apart, and then later I can stick it back together using that commutative property. But I can simplify this first and turn it into a negative 2 times AB all over B, right? And I can simplify that again down to negative 2 AB over B. Now, this may look simplified, but there's another interesting thing that I can do. Notice that there is a B on the top and a B on the bottom. And if I have a number that has itself on the top and the bottom, for example, if I have 4 over 4, the same as it is on the top, the same as it is on the bottom, I can simplify that into a 1, because any number divided by itself turns into a 1. So this I can rewrite as negative 2a, if I want to, times b over b. b over b is 1. Negative 2a times 1 is negative 2a. And that is simplified. Now, a lot of these take a lot of these algebraic moving things around and being able to explain why things are equivalent and using previous rules that we've had. These are kind of fun and they're also kind of challenging. So you can see that I took this giant mess all the way down to almost nothing. Let's do a couple more of these, okay? Example 2. All right, this time we have one that's a little bit more simple, and we have negative 14a divided by negative 7. Negative 14a, that's not a 14, divided by negative 7. Okay, I'm going to write this real quick as the way that I'm much more comfortable. Negative 14a over negative 7. All right, now I definitely see some things that I can simplify. I know that 7 fits into 14 twice, so I can do negative 14 divided by negative 7. Negative divided by negative is positive, so I can end up with 2a. Wow, that is suspiciously similar to our answer for our first example. Now this one you can see was much simpler. Sometimes they're hard, and sometimes they're easy, but that kind of goes without saying. We'll do one more after example 3. If you feel like you get it, you can go on. 28ab divided by negative 7b. Okay, this looks like I can already see there's a b on the top, b on the bottom. So that's going to be a clue that I'm going to be able to cancel it out. But let's rewrite this so I can see it a little easier. 28ab divided by negative 7b. Okay, now last time when I canceled those b's out, I went through like 4 steps. But this time, I can really just do this. If I have one on the top and one on the bottom, Done. I don't have to deal with that anymore. And now I can see that my numbers that are going to be key here, I have a 28 divided by 7. And I should know 28 divided by 7 is 4. So I know that I'm going to have 4. So I have 4a, but I have a negative here. So I should have written negative, which is negative 4, because positive divided by a negative is negative. So I have a negative 4a for my answer. Simplified. Much, much nicer than it was before. If you feel like you get it, go ahead and go on. I have one more example if you'd like to see it. Example 4. How am I doing on my page? I'm looking okay. All right. Simplifying. Negative 6x divided by negative 2y. Okay, now I notice that I do have different variables on the top and the bottom. I can't cancel those out, unfortunately, but I have negative 6x over negative 2y. So I can see that my numbers here, I have negative 6 divided by a negative 2. 6 divided by 2 is 3, and a negative divided by a negative is a positive. So I have 3x over y. I could write this also as 3xy, but I actually don't like that as much. Let's not do that. This is how I would write that as an answer, because I can't get rid of my x, I can't get rid of my y. This is as far as I can go by simplifying. All right, good luck on these. I think they're kind of fun. They are a little bit tricky, though. Remember those negative and positive rules.